Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Critical Reactions with your host, Bryan. This is a bit of a special episode. We're doing it on a Saturday, but sometimes you just have to reward patience and dedication and perseverance. Because we've had somebody in the comments, Christopher, for over a year requesting Vektor recharging the void. And as you can see, just a week ago, a little over a week ago, still no Vektor? Come on, man. So we're going to check out some Vektor recharging the void today. A little bit of an extra video for the week. Doesn't fit with any theme or any of our usual stuff, but like I said, got to reward some patience and dedication. Alright, so we have Vektor's recharging the void. We got a 13.5-minute track ahead of us. Let's dive in and see what's up with this. So we got a 4/4 vibe going in here, heavily syncopated though. Expanding on that rhythm and introducing a bunch of atmosphere. I like how they're continuing to evolve the single guitar line in a couple different directions. Going hard in with this aggression, raw speed and technicality. Playing around a little bit with combining consonants and dissonance simultaneously. Also an interesting way of interweaving melody with primarily rhythmic ideas. It's also interesting how much weight the treble has in this track. Oh, pulling in some jazzy chords. interesting note relationship there. And I like that center guitar run versus and then the harmonized hand and then back to the center. Some really fun drum ideas throughout here as well. Even not just fills, but little ornamentations throughout. We move to a 6/8. Yeah, the drummer's flow is it's a highlight for me. Yeah, some much needed contrast here. We've been running at 11 for a while now. Okay. This is more contrast than I was expecting. Oh man, this is good.
Our story be told to young beckoning, yearning ones who are struggling to be as one. We are the lights from the dying sun. In darkness we will be.
What is going on here? Yeah, beautiful little guitar line there. an interesting contrast having this wall of sound, the weightiness of it, mixed with the very bright, uplifting stuff that's happening in the music. Dude, that little hi-hat run there? Yeah, bringing a little bit of punk ideas. Almost like some metalcore guitar riffs too. No. What did I just listen to? Um. Okay. Why does this sound like what would happen if some of the brighter, denser prog rock of the 70s, like Yes, maybe, decided to attempt a black metal sound, but didn't quite understand everything that went into it. They got kind of a surface read. Distortion, depression, distortion and destruction and compression, check. Tremolo picking, check. Wall of sound, check. It's just missing the vibe and atmosphere that makes it black metal. This is cheery speed metal. And it's oh man, it is weird. And I say that in a positive way. Weird can some people use it negatively. That's weird. I don't like it. No, this is just it's a very different sound than I'm used to. It's weird and it's almost like academic use in that it's strange, it's unusual. Like I said, it's black metal prog, but only using the rhythmic elements of black metal, not necessarily the vibe and atmosphere that it typically brings with it. That darkness, that brooding, that no, not necessarily darkness, just more that occult horror element. And it's replaced with that optimism, that 70s prog I kind of associate with them. Oh man, where do I start? So, I guess we're just going to start at the beginning because I don't even know if I can break this up into ideas. Let's just run through and see where my brain takes it. Starting with the intro, it comes in, if I remember correctly, fairly on point. I think there was a bit of an introduction to it, but it didn't take us long to get into that first main riff. We had the tremolo picking, we had the heavy distortion, we had the compression, we had the wild drumming, the raspy sort of higher pitched black metal harshes. Didn't take too long to get into. I think we were hearing those within a minute maybe. So they got to the point real quick, and already it's this combination of so many ideas. It has sort of this brightness to it. It doesn't have this focus on lower end elements, but it is bringing a lot of the speed and intensity that we hear in stuff like black metal and post rock. It's just doing it in a very bright and optimistic way. But it's paired with these really aggressive, harsh vocals that I typically associate with black metal, and it's kind of bringing like these 70s, like if we get rid of the tremolo picking and we look at the notes themselves, the relationships, what kind of keys, chords and modes they're making, it does kind of give me like that 70s prog kind of feel, just played ridiculously fast. So we have the 70s prog musicality with post rock's texture and black metal's aggression and speed. I guess we could also, use thrash for that as well. And then black metal's vocals, and none of this goes together, but it works so well. Um I mentioned somewhere in the middle there, it finally dawned on me that there's this contrast between the weight that the music is portraying. It isn't super heavy and weighty in the way that um, post rock kind of gets when they do this fast tremolo picking wall of sound stuff, but there is presence to all of this. There's so many attacks. We have the tremolo picking in the guitars. We have the fast finger. I think the bassist was using finger playing, finger picking. We had pretty fast attacks there. The drummer was hitting notes all over the place. Even if it wasn't a single instrument, we were probably getting 16th notes attacks from them constantly. So we have this barrage of sound, which, typically this wall of sound style to me feels violent. I even use words like assault and barrage when I talk about it. But it's done so with this brightness, this optimism, and it clashes for me because of kind of what I associate with both of these. I don't typically associate this style of playing with uplifting music. To me, it's designed to sort of beat the listener down, or to be oppressive in a way, or to provide weight to, the themes of the music so that they can line up with what's going on in the lyrics or something like that. And here, the atmosphere created by the texture, by the effects on top of the timbres, by the rhythmic element, is in contrast to the themes that are being created in the musicality of it. And it's a very interesting distinction there because, like I said, I wouldn't expect that to work. We're using brutality and weight to create a uplifting atmosphere. And that shouldn't work, but the song doesn't fall apart despite it. I'm not sure why, but I enjoy it. I really do. I think it's fascinating. I really love finding music like this that pushes my understanding of things. This is very much a post-rock black metal sound because of that aggression, the speed, the oppression of this constant assault of notes. And they found a way to utilize that sound and make it fun and make it bright and cheery. Even the vocals that typically I am not too fond of, I didn't really mind. And I don't know if that's because I'm coming around to this higher pitched kind of black metal harsh, or if it's just because it felt so playful. Because it kind of worked on that level for me where it typically doesn't work in more of an aggressive manner. I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards the fact that it's fun. We'll find out the next time that I listen to one of those vocals, and we'll see, but I didn't mind it here. There was something about it. It could have been the vocal production, it could have been some of the effects on it. I don't know, but it just didn't have that nails on a chalkboard kind of vibe. And I don't want to say that it's a bad vocal style. You guys know me. I'm not here to put down any musical decisions. I think they all have their place. The black metal harsh just isn't for me. um, and maybe I'll come around to it one day, but I've come around on growls. I haven't quite come around on these yet. But yeah, I didn't mind it, which is just, man, I don't know, it's so weird. But it's surrounded by a completely different context, so that could have a lot to do with it. Um, but then like another distinction is, we just checked out a lot of black metal, at least the origins of it. Looking at some proto black metal, first wave stuff, and one thing that I picked up on that I've kind of noticed in a lot of other black metal, sort of retrospectively applying what I learned last week to black metal that I've heard in the past, is that there is this strong sense on sonorism. It's a genre that, at least to me, is heavily uh, predicated on creating music that fits a specific sound or mood. It's not necessarily focused on the theory behind the chords or anything like that. It's about dialing in a sound, a texture, and diving into it. A lot of the black metal we've listened to, since it was influenced by speed metal, previously or prior to it, stuff like Motorhead, we had a lot of tremolo playing. And a lot of the time we would stick on a root note. And then at the end of a phrase, we might put a nice little lick in at the end to sort of um, have a little bit of differentiation to this repeated riff. So it's not just this one note for an entire minute of the song or whatever. And we see a little bit of that here where they pick a note and just stay on it for a bit. But for the most part, we see a nice divide between some of that sonoristic playing that kind of focuses on what sounds cool and diving into some strong elements of melody that are, that work within elements of theory. And I actually think that these guys are not just, noodling around and finding cool licks. I think that they actually have some theory background based on how often they change up their mode, the way that they're their chords sound, what kind of chords they're choosing. They kind of jump around into a couple of different ideas. And to me, that shows at least a small understanding of chord theory. So that would be my guess. But I do love how it's this little mix of both. Sometimes we'll have something that just sounds cool, even though it might be a bit simple. And then other times we'll dive into some rather complex technical playing and kind of utilize some interesting chords that normally wouldn't be used in metal. So yeah, there's just a lot of things at odds here that don't seem to work well and then come together very nicely. And to me, it's about walking this line between these two possibly different inspirations in the band. It seems like some of the band might possibly have a strong background with this sort of black metal sonoristic style of playing, and another part of the band might have more of a melodic, brighter side. Maybe they grew up on 70s prog, maybe they grew up on jazz, maybe they grew up on classical. Or even some of the more melody driven heavy metal from the 70s. You never know, but I definitely see this divide possibly, even if it's not necessarily the band, it could even be just one person who grew up with such a wide palette of music that they're just combining everything at once. And it's, like I said, it's fascinating just to hear the diversity in the songs. And it's not alternated diversity. We've seen that a few times where we'll do this idea and then we'll do this idea and then we'll come back to the heavy and then we'll go to the soft. And a band might showcase their width, their depth as far as their playing expertise and composition expertise goes. They'll showcase it like that. But these guys just kind of mashed everything together into a super unique sound. And it kind of boggled my mind. I think there was a point where it broke me because every time something interesting happened, I would just laugh because it's such a strange combination of sounds. So yeah, right off the bat though, for like the first, like 7 or 8 minutes, we had beautiful composition between this sonoristic and this melodic writing, between more what sounds cool and what's theoretically interesting. We had the performance aspect of just everybody playing at the top of their game. Had some phenomenal guitar runs that I thought were really nice. Drum fills, bass playing. I mean, everybody was just at the top of their game. The vocalist, I can't make that sound, so I have to respect what they're doing. It takes skill and dedication. There wasn't a lot of variety to the vocals, but they did what they did well, so I can't fault them at all for that. Um, just a phenomenal amount of performance aspect on top of the already wild music. And then, like in the 7 minute mark, out of nowhere, we pull it back. Well, actually, I take that back because we did kind of lead into this. For like a minute and a half or so prior to this, we did go into a halftime feel, which is still rather fast for what's going on here. But we cut out some of the tremolo picking, we cut out the 16th notes in the drums, and we kind of chilled it down a little bit. I think this was the 6/8 section as well. So it was a time signature change and sort of an overall speed feel change. I don't know if they necessarily changed the tempo, but they definitely stopped playing as fast. My suspicions is they just stopped playing 16th notes and went to 8th notes, which made it feel slower. But um, so yeah, we were like slowly winding down. We weren't at 100% anymore, and then we hit the middle part. I don't even know what to call it. It was kind of folky. No, not really folky. Yeah, I don't know what to call it. It was just so different because when it started, everything calmed down. I think we had like a lone guitar or a lone piano or something. We had some harmonized oohs and ahs and a female vocalist, which we hadn't heard up to that point. So that was interesting. I'm not It doesn't say it features anybody, so I'm wondering if one of their members also does backup vocals. Yeah, I don't have a personnel list here. Maybe I'll find that out in a bit. Maybe someone can also educate me on that in the comments. Um, are there other songs where it's not just relegated to oohs and ahs and they actually do harmonized vocals? So we get like a female clean and then that black metal harsh, or maybe female clean, male clean, because the harsh vocalist also did some of the cleans in this section too, I believe. So that would be nice. Just a little bit of contrast there. I don't know. I'm curious what else Vektor does because this song alone has my mind going in a million directions as far as where they could take their sounds. Um, but yeah, so it was rather muted. We were just entering into this area, and I was like, okay. And I had no idea where we were going, and I could not have known where we were going. What in the world happened here? Where my brain keeps going to folk. I don't think folk's exactly what I want, but that's kind of the feeling I'm getting from it. We had um we had some nice guitar lines, and then we had this clean male vocals. We had the constant female vocalizations going on, those oohs and ahs, kind of panning around. I don't think it was a panning shift, but like we would hear the oohs over here, and then we would hear the oohs over here. And in the last four bars of it, we had a second male vocalist come in an octave below to harmonize with the other clean male vocals. And yeah, that was just it. It got to a point where, at least to me, it seemed super campy, very tongue in cheek, um, almost a borderline parody at this point. And it's still, man, not folk. I can't think of what genre they were trying to emulate or make parody of, but they were just digging so hard into it, leaning so hard into the parody. I felt like that every new addition to this section, every new instrument just felt more and more comedic. I don't know, maybe that was just me. I don't know if that was their intention. Maybe they wanted to do this part straight and it just didn't come off as that to me. I don't know. But not only did it seem campy in isolation, but it was such stark contrast to what we just saw, and we kept going with it. I really expected after 45 seconds or a minute, this was going to be the little bit of reprieve we had from the assault of the really fast playing, and we were going to get back into it. And we kind of never got back into it. It took quite some time. We were here for a while, and I think all of this just it just got real funny to me. And like I said, I don't know if it's intentional or not, but if that middle section were in isolation, it was the only part of a song, and it was played for me, and I reacted to it. I don't think I would find it comical. I think there's definitely some elements to it that feel a bit campy, feel a bit tongue in cheek, but overall, I think you can hear a rather straightforwardly played song out of it. But contrasting with what came before it, and moving into, oh, you know what it is? It's almost like a folky 70s prog. That's what it is. It's not like the big bombastic stuff we've checked out with Yes. It's more like a subdued big train. Like one of their smaller moments, right? That's kind of what I'm feeling. Kind of like that folky prog kind of thing going on. That's exactly what it is. And it's just in such stark contrast to what came prior to it, that changing to it almost on a dime and then really digging into it, almost saying, we can do both sides and we can really go hard into both sides. That's the thing that really made me laugh. I don't know. And they just, like I said, they kept digging into it. They kept adding more and more parts to it that were so atypical of the previous 7 minutes. that showed that they had such an understanding of this style of music. But the more understanding that they put on display, the funnier of a contrast it got. I don't know. Like I said, maybe that's just me. I think I'm spending too much time on this. I'm just really trying to explain because I don't want people to, watch the reaction and I'm laughing at that part. And they're like, dude, this guy's so disrespectful. No, it's coming from a place of appreciation. Especially, like I said, I'm kind of getting a tongue-in-cheek aspect to it. If that was intentional, I'm letting them know I'm on the same page as them. If it wasn't, in Vektor, you're watching this, I apologize. Um, but yeah, like I said, lots of strong expertise and understanding of this sort of folky prog feel right here, and they go real hard into it. We get some really nice harmony, we get some counterpoint, we have some beautiful melodic lines underneath. I think this was the part where we also saw, maybe it was right after this, moving into the next section. We had a guitar lick, and it was like a 4 or 8 bar phrase, and I think it was the second or third chord that it went through. Got real jazzy. Had some really interesting additive elements to the chord. And it got really complex, and then it kind of backed off a little bit. And it was weird because, like, we have pretty standard rock chord, super complex jazz chord, back to, pretty standard rock chords. But again, it's those little elements because it didn't feel out of place. It had nice flow to it. It was a bit more complex, a little bit more dynamic than the chords around it, but it's not like all of a sudden it was wrong, right? The song still had flow, the melody had flow, the chord progression had flow, and that's one of those little elements that tells me that these guys have at least a little bit of chord theory knowledge to apply to their music, because it's little moments like this where they are, adding in little flourishes that I think most bands are not just going to happen upon. you know, we're playing this chord progression. He's like, hey, what if you just move this finger here and that finger there and that finger there? And we ended up getting like, a suspended fourth with the dominant seven inside of it or something. It's not something you just fall into. It's usually something you're aiming for. Um, yeah, and then we finish out the song kind of bringing everything back, and we reintroduce the speed, the brutality, the uplifting brutality, the black metal vocals, and I was like, okay, and then we had this really big moment. Every instrument was doing like this constant pounding eighth notes, 16th notes maybe. It was quicker. It was the biggest wall of sound moment yet. And I was like, okay, that's how we're going to finish this song out. And then we didn't. Then we backed off the wall of sound a little bit to allow space for a choir. Maybe it was maybe it wasn't a choir. Maybe it was 2 or 3 harmonized voices and 2 of the black metal harshes doing different things. So we had this harmonized section that was centered, and then we had a black metal vocalist on either side. I think it was the same person just doing 2 tracks, and they were both doing 2 different ideas. Sometimes they were lining up, sometimes they were not. And it was just this hyper dense moment that, again, would feel right at home in something like a Yes album. What was that one that we just checked out? It was the beginning of it. Awaken? Yeah, it was Awaken. The opening section, hyper dense, lots of stuff going on, multiple vocal tracks. Yeah, that, but with black metal speed and compression on the guitars. I mean, it's just, it's such a strange combination of ideas. It really is. And I greatly appreciate everything that went on in creating this sonic identity, whether it's the little fluctuations in time signature, because we did have that little 6/8 movement in the middle, and I think that was the only thing that deviated from the 4/4 was when you hit that 6/8. Jumping between this folky prog almost parody element, and then this proggy black metal kind of vibe that they got going on, playing around with wall of sound post rock elements, but keeping it all sort of upbeat and vibing and kind of, I don't know, uplifting and bright. It's a very strange combination of ideas. And right now, I'm going to dive into the lyrics because I'm not sure if this is going to shed a light on things or not, but I'm kind of hoping that I can find this mix of cheerful brutality in the lyrics, because if the lyrics are straight up black metal lyrics, I'm going to lose my mind. I really am. I won't know what to do with that information. And I don't think I'm going to have much to add on this front because it seems to be a concept album that is almost entirely structured on narrative. It seems to be very straightforward, no metaphor, but there is conversations between people and thoughts, and there is a lot of lyrics in this song. Um, And then it says after the collapse of his civilization started on our previous track, our protagonist realized that by erasing what he considered as imperfect, such as the Cygnus terminal, he created this unbalanced state of his galaxy by having too much perfection. Yeah, this is not a song that's going to be worth diving into lyrically in isolation. This is a track that works best as a whole, an album that works best as a whole. And are all of their albums like this? Are they like because the space sci-fi opera, not opera, soap opera kind of vibe I'm getting from this, the dramatization of what's going on, reminds me of at least what I think Coheed and Cambria stuff is like. It's kind of putting me in that same mind, and I'm wondering if they do this on all their albums or if this is sort of their concept album and they don't typically do this. I don't know. I guess I'm going to end the video here. Um, really don't know what to make of this, but I enjoyed it. And I think that's sometimes the best thing you can do, or at least the best thing I can do at the end of some of these videos is be confused, but have enjoyed my time listening to what I did. This is where you guys come in. Hit me up in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are, if you enjoyed this or not, if you have any light to shed on what is going on here and how indicative this is of their usual sound. Yeah, hit me up with those comments. Let me know what's going on. Above the comment section is a description box, and there's a link for Linktree. It'll take you to this menu right here. It has everything related to the channel. You can submit some special selections. You can join the Patreon. You can follow me on Twitter, join the Discord community, buy some merch. There's a lot of stuff in there, and for whatever reason, I'm forgetting what's on the list, even though it's right in front of me. Click the link and go see what's there. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Above the description box, if you could, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I'd greatly appreciate all three of those. That's it for this week. There's going to be a blocked live stream video coming out not long after this. You can look forward to that. If live streams aren't your jam, then I'll be back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 p.m. UTC. As usual, we'll be looking at vocal harmonies, which I'm really excited about. I love vocal harmonies, especially with multiple vocalists. I was looking at the polls, and couple of bands, I'm not sure if they're going to have multiple vocalists or if it's just going to be harmonized vocals. But we'll see when we dive into them next week. Until next time, remember to be critical but not cynical of the music you listen to, and have a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening whenever you choose to watch my videos.